Before every flight, you're required to do a walk-around to check, where feasible, the safe operation of the airplane. Now we start in the cabin. Remove the control lock and stow it away. Turn on the master switch and operate the flaps, checking that both flaps extend in unison. Now to the lights. The inner one is the taxi and the outer is the landing light. The navigation and strobe lights are on both wingtips. Ensure the navigation ones are lit and the strobe is flashing. On the tail is the beacon, and there's also a navigation light pointing back. You can now turn off the lights and also the master switch. And please ensure that the ignition keys are not inserted. If this is the first flight of the day, there will probably be a protection sleeve on the pitot. Remove this and stow it in the airplane. Also check to see if the pitot heat is on. If it is off, switch it on. Check that the vents are clear, that the pitot is unblocked and the heater is working, that the stall warning is clear, and that the perspex cover is clear and secure. Check the leading edge as you go around. Now the nav and strobe lights. Check that they are secure, and as you walk around, check the edges, the side and the trailing edges. Check the hinges on the aileron, that they're properly secured and not cracked or damaged in any way. Now to the actuator arm, that it's secure, straight, and also that the lock nut is secure. Now check the end hinge assembly as per the first. Onto the flap. It is fully extended, and check the extension guide track, that it is clean and not warped in any way. That the actuator arm is secure, straight, and that the lock nut is secure. And now check the second guide track assembly, as per the first. While under the wing, we'll check the wheel assembly. First the brake. That they're clean and no sign of cracks. That the hydraulic pipe fittings are secure and no leaks. Also, that the tire itself is secure and hasn't slipped. The marks must be aligned as shown here. Finally, that the tread is sufficient and suitably inflated. Now we check the operation of the aileron. We move the aileron and verify that the control column moves freely and in unison. Now check all the wing surfaces for dents, etc. After the wing, we check the luggage compartment to make sure that it is secure. We continue our inspection of the fuselage for damage and along the leading edge of the horizontal stabilizer. Check the elevator, the hinges that they are secure and working freely. The actuator hinge, and also the linkage in the empennage. Shown here. Check the vertical stabilizer and the rudder, especially the hinges that attach the rudder. We now continue along the other half of the aircraft, doing a mirror image of the checks done so far. Now to the area around the engine. First thing we check is the oil level. It should be between the 4 and the 6 quart mark, as you see here. And now when you're screwing it back in, don't screw it in too tight. Before you close the cover, inspect the general area for cleanliness and any oil leaks. Make sure the cover is closed and secured properly. Next to steering linkage, make sure the arm is secured and straight, and also inspect the horizontal shim damper. The oleo extension, that is extended, and is clean and free of leaks. Now remember that with the steering linkages there are 2 linkages, one on either side. The front wheel, it's inflated and it has sufficient tread. Check the propeller, leading and trailing edges for any damage, and that it is secure, and also the spinner. Check the 2 air intakes and the alternator drive belt. While you're checking the air intakes, also check the engine for any leaks. And finally, inspect the air filter that it is secure and clean. There are 5 drain points in each wing. Dan is pointing them out here. As well as these, there are also a further 2 under the engine, shown here. These are all used to check for water contamination. You drain a sample of the fuel by inserting the probe into the nozzle and then check against a white surface for blue colour. This second sample, it has some water in it which settles readily to the bottom. Again, check against a white background. And you can see quite clearly here the fuel floating above the water. Fuel tanks also have to be dipped to check for the amount of fuel. There's a hand hold, and there are 2 places to place your feet. This is the proper way to gain access to the fuel tanks. Undo the filler cap and make sure that the chain is fastened to the cap and also to the tank. Dip the tank with a calibrated rod and make sure it goes all the way to the bottom. The level of fuel is quite easily seen against the matte black of the stick. Fit the cap again and be sure to check both wing tanks.